All right, peace and blessings. Habibi, tuko pumoja, mi gente. Estamos en las manos de Dios siempre. We are all in the hands of God, however you view and perceive that to be. Shout out to y'all, Free Thinker Society Investment Sunday sessions. We quantum capitalists and Sigmaj. We're waiting to see if Sigmar's going to pull up today. If not, he's taking care of business, other things as priorities right now. So we're going to ride out and see what's going on with the people today. Shout out to Leslie. Introduce yourself, Quantum Capitalist.
Good Sunday afternoon, everybody. My name is Leslie Richardson, and my business is called The Quantum Capitalist. And I personally, under different monikers, have been educating our community on the benefits of stock investing and trading for going on 6 years now. And so I'm just here to have an open conversation with you guys, answer your questions, and dispel any myths that you may have fallen victim to along the way.
All right.
Glad to be here.
Sounds good. You know what? I want to and from last session we had you were speaking about day trading and or you brought that up. So I definitely want to cover that a little bit today as well. But speaking on the myths that you just brought up, what are some of the myths that you hear or are you aware of people speak about it when it comes down to long-term investment or day trading or however you want to view it?
So I think that just in general, I won't even say in our community, I think that in general, among the middle and lower classes, there has been an unjustified fear perpetuated around the riskiness of the stock market, the potential that you're going to lose all your money. And what it does is it just scares us out and allows them to benefit fully from the tool that they've been using to generate wealth and build wealth since the 1700s. So just general fear mongering around the concept of losing all your money.
Right. Understand. So sounds like it's just like everything else in life. If you got to be willing to be able to take that leap of faith and get past whatever fears is in front of your way. So it's just like everything else. Sounds like investment has the same type of fears. So the myth that this specifically alone is a place where you have to have fears of risk. That's sounds like that's the myth in itself. That this is the only place that has that.
I think so because we do all kinds of other risky stuff.
Exactly.
Without thinking about it, I think that what kind of bridges the gap is education. So fortunately for me, I was taught by, mentored by someone who was really strict about learning and understanding the stock market. And oh, my virtual background is horrible today, but he was just really strict about us knowing everything that they know, so we weren't afraid. I think when you're armed with knowledge is power. And so when you armed with knowledge, it gives you a new perspective and a new outlook on the possibilities. And so that's my thing, teaching.
Right.
Don't listen to what I say. Go learn it.
Right on. And when you say the knowledge that they know, what do you mean? You mean like the investors, the bankers, or you talking about the people who were teaching the lessons?
I'm talking about your Nancy Pelosi, so our politicians, and just the elite, the wealthiest, I'll say 10% of people on the planet had this knowledge. They understand what to look for. They understand how to read financial statements. They understand the stock market in general. They know how long it's been around, and they know the power of it. And so, we have been kind of pointed toward real estate and all of these other things that require you to have a certain credit score and a large amount of capital to get started. And it becomes discouraging when the reality is the easiest thing to do, the easiest thing to learn and get involved in is probably the stock market and crypto at this point. I just realized that myself as I was saying it. is, and let me know if you agree, but everybody tends to push us toward all of these things that are really unattainable. Oh, you should be flipping real estate, you should be buying rental properties, and unless you have 5 to 20% of multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars and excellent credit, that's just not attainable for a lot of people. But everything about the stock market is attainable.
Right, right, exactly. And it's um e- the stuff that the things that are viewed as unattainable, yes, overall they are. But even those things, that's one of the bridges that can be made is investing your time or you investing your energy or investing your actual money into stocks or into whatever you're investing in. But the concept of um, this being something that's available to everybody, that's a key figure. For instance, like what would you be what suggestion would you give to somebody if they have, after taking care of everything they have in their business, their life, their priorities, family, rent, and everything, they have like $20 to $25 a week that's just theirs that they can do whatever they want to do with it. Save it, spend it, they can invest it. So from the concept of investing it, what would you consider if that's to somebody who says they are willing to do that from now for the whole rest of the year, they'll be able to have that money to invest or more. What should they do? Go day trading route, go think long term, multiple.
Let me preface it by saying I am not a licensed financial advisor. So I'm just pointing you in the direction um, that I would suggest that you go to seek information. And so one of the things that I have um, become fond of lately is something called ETFs, exchange traded funds. And a friend of mine on Facebook, I think I said this last week, said it's like having the smartest minds in the world pick your investments for you. And so what an ETF is this kind of like a bucket of companies. So these brilliant, let's say brilliant, I guess, fund managers say, for example, I'm going to start an ETF, an exchange traded fund. And in that fund, we're going to invest in Apple, Nvidia, Google, and they pick all of the best companies and they kind of package them so that instead of having to buy shares in all of those different companies, which are rather expensive, you can just buy shares in their ETF and get a piece of everything. So if I now, in hindsight, if I was starting out with, because I started with $50 a week, if I was starting out with $25 or $50 a week, I would look into a Mag 7 ETF or a cryptocurrency ETF. And so either of those, the Mag 7 ETF is going to get you in, and I know I'm not going to remember all seven, but Google, Facebook, Nvidia, Microsoft, Tesla, can't think of the other two, but it's two more stocks in that caliber, of that caliber, or Bitcoin or crypto ETF will get you involved in other ETFs that buy and trade crypto.
That's good. I think
So
that's
that's
yeah. Not, I don't think we said this for multiple times. It's all right. We can keep saying it. We're not. This is not any. Nobody's kept saying that they're giving out expert information, and this is the take that you must take. This is just we're having conversations specifically with free thinker energy in mind. Shout out to your quantum reality. I don't think corporations should be allowed to own single family homes. I feel you on that. Shout out to you, quantum reality. It drives the prices up. That is definitely there. That is exactly why they do it. Exactly. Shout out to that. That's real talk right there.
I think they're trying to put us in a position where we will have to rent from them.
Exactly.
And it's going to be people living in cars and stuff like that now. So for a lot of people, it's going to be impossible.
That well, that's the perspective to have there. That's the whole point of it exactly. But there's chances and there's always ways out of anything. There's a door opening already for somebody as long as you're just willing to get up, let go of whatever past drama it is, and go through that door. But the advice you just gave, I thought that was, or your in your opinion, exactly. I thought that was a great thing for people to know because you don't have to have thousands or millions or whatever people is in people's minds to just start to do something. And what you just said with the ETFs, that's a good way to you kind of like play with the market in all different type of way with top companies that people already know of. So you don't have to really do too much. The Mag 7 thing, I think that's good advice for anybody. We never know. It's not like it's a goal to have everybody invested. Like for me specifically, like I mentioned last week, it's more about providing that information for if there's just even one person who's enlightened and they're gonna move. That's the phenomenal point behind this for me. But now, do you have anything you want to add on to any of that stuff we talked about so far?
No, I just put a link to a good place for you to start looking at and researching ETFs in the chat. And so that's just a good place to start going and getting familiar with the process. But as we go on Sunday after Sunday, we can get into more detail, even today, even about, how to investigate those and where to go to get started putting your $25 a week.
Yes, exactly. That's real good. All right. So how about this day trading thing now? Can you break that down for the I think most of the time we've been speaking talking about investment, especially on my side, been talking about long term generational wealth specifically, but explain how day trading can lead to all type of exponential growth as well, and just the behind the foundations of it from your perspective.
Okay. So, my perspective, as I always say this, is my perspective is that you should start with, and everybody's not going to listen. Most people don't listen. You should start with the long-term foundational investing, dividend investing for long-term wealth. And then once you have that mastered and it's painless, it's happening automatically, um, you can then start to learn, and I think everybody should start to learn about day trading. And that is, instead of buying and holding stock for years, you buy and hold stock for maybe a day or maybe a couple weeks, waiting to see an appreciation in the stock price, and then you sell it. Another way to do that is with stock options. And so in my classes, we trade stock options. And if you're familiar, somebody brought up real estate. If you're familiar with the option to buy real estate, it kind of works the same way. A stock option gives you the right to buy 100 shares of a stock, but not the obligation. So you can basically pay a fee called a premium to like hold on to this 100 shares. And as the share price moves in the direction of your, I'll say a bet for lack of a better word, as the share price moves in the direction that you bet on, the fee goes up so that when you sell your option back, you get the benefit of a higher fee. Let me try to give you a better example. Calls and puts. You would buy a stock option call if you think that a stock price is going to go up. And so I buy a call, it costs me $100. My call says that I expect that the price of Apple will go up. As the price of Apple does go up, my $100 grows. The premium that I paid to hold those 100 shares goes up. So when I get ready to sell it, that $100 premium might now be $150 or $200. It's not something that I could teach in a day, but it really is not as complicated as it sounds. The easy way to think about it is I'm renting 100 shares, and if the shares go up, when I go to give them back, I make more money than I spent going in. I have what I would suggest is number one, did you know this is YouTube University? You can learn anything you want to learn here. And so I have a couple courses on YouTube, one for investing and one for trading stock options. But I would suggest that people join my community and get those courses over there because they come with quizzes and all kinds of support. So I'm going to put, obviously you guys can subscribe to my YouTube rather easily, but I'm going to put the community link in the chat as well.
Nice.
Get the QC.
And shout out to your quantum reality. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Earning wealth is the same thing. Exactly. Completely agree. And I like the breakdown from the starting off with long-term investments, understanding that, and then definitely tapping into day trading and getting a good idea of that concept. So yes.
So here, I want to say something about that real quick. Here's the idea. is that you should not trade or invest money that you can't stand to lose. And so if you have at the end of your bills, you have $25 left, then you don't have a lot of money to risk. And so I would build that up for a year, and then I would pursue learning how to trade options.
Mm,
Or if you somebody who has $20,000, $50,000 sitting around, I might jump right into an options trading course, because theoretically you do have a little bit of money to risk. 10% of whatever it is that you have saved up.
mm, mm. Good idea. Great points. That's nice. That's nice. Now, what are your one thing I know I wanted to bring up with Sigmash, but I'll just, since we don't, I'm not sure, I didn't get any message yet from him. What are your thoughts now on the investment into crypto specifically?
So, like, I've been always been honest about my knowledge of crypto. I understand what crypto is. I understand it to be a wise investment. However, I never got um as deep into learning it as I did with the stock market, because I was so deeply invested in learning the stock market, and because that being in that network put me around people who did have a passion about crypto. And so I would just go say, like, Sigmash, what do you think of this cryptocurrency? And if they said, yes, I like that one, and here are the reasons, I would just go buy it. And so I have a portfolio of things that guys like Sigmash have suggested to me. But I think everybody pretty much knows that, like, the top five are Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, I would say Solana, and what would the fifth one? The fifth one be at this point? I'm not even sure. BNB maybe, but there are. You can go Google. What are the cryptomarketcap.com? There you go.
Yes, yes. I mean, we
And
have
it
that.
will
We
tell
have
you
actually, you know what? I'll set it up. I have it kind of set up already.
crypto
With the site.
marketcap.com.
No, the that's one of the things we was gonna speak about last week. Let me pull it up right now. So
Okay.
this is a list from the discussing the pros and cons of the top 10 cryptocurrencies, and number one is Bitcoin. So let me actually just show this actual full list before we actually get into that. All
This
right.
is awesome. I'm gonna learn something today.
So
Oh, I was
yeah,
right. I was pretty right. Okay.
yeah, you was definitely right. Yes, and those right there, number six. But yeah, these are the top 10, and it just discusses just for people to understand concepts and everything behind it. Discussing the top 10 for 2025 going into this year. This is the listed as the top 10, showing growth and promise from 2024. That was a concept of this list here. So yes, as look, we'll start with just going through number one and just give people an understanding how you can get an understanding. Just start before you even start investing your actual income. Start investing some time into getting some knowledge. So we'll go through one of these today right now. So for Bitcoin, this is the oldest and most popular crypto token on the market. Bitcoin was the coin that started the entire crypto craze. From its humble beginnings in 2009, it has soared to unimaginable heights and gained the attention of investors, the media, and businesses. The network is used as an alternative means of payment to cash and is protected through proof of work, consensus, something we mentioned last week, very important. All transactions are stored on a blockchain, while miners can earn rewards for each block of transactions they confirm. So this concept here, why Bitcoin is number one, we're going to get into some pros right now, and of course the balance of the cons. But this was started the craze and being used as a different means of cash, as a different form of, I mean, literally, it's a different form of money. It's a different system. And being that we came into this new tech age, this AI age, this why this was becoming a foundational part of the craze is because it's viewed as the new gold standard, if you can view it moving forward. So the pros now, let's get into this. The pros of Bitcoin. It's most well known. It's the most well known token, which leads to heavy investments in the project. So because it's so powerful and backed right now, and it's the foundation of it all, this is why it's the most well known and having the most investors. Relatively stable compared to some newer crypto tokens. And because of that proof of works, the stability is there. It's something that can be trusted. Unlike all don't have the same concepts behind it. Now the cons of Bitcoin. Bitcoin operates on proof of work, which consumes a lot of electricity and requires excessive time to confirm transactions. This is the most safe you can view or has some of the most the best security, but because of this extra consumption of energy, this is one of the cons. Now, last con that we have here is as Bitcoin acts as an index of the general crypto market, it rarely deviates from general market trends and conditions. So when we're talking about exponential growth or exponential decline, this is not something you necessarily can expect, being that Bitcoin is so stable. But still, of course, we've seen how Bitcoin had that major rise, still kind of having its new rise right now, but it also had that downfall. So it's all just like this is part of it. Why is a con? All right. So let me put this down right here. Let's put this list back up for anybody, just in case. And any questions, comments, concerns, any thoughts? Are you still with First Colonial Capitalist?
Yep, I'm here. I was just sharing the stream to another platform. I mean, so I think that a lot of people, especially quote unquote free thinkers, who understand like the concept of fractional reserves and inflation and all of that, have been probably desperate for an alternative to the Federal Reserve System. And so I think that that idea, that potential, was what made people flock to Bitcoin. And I can distinctly remember when the guys that are Kevin O'Leary, and all of these different hedge fund managers were calling crypto and Bitcoin hot trash and like worthless. It's never going to be worth it. And now they pouring millions and millions of dollars into it. But you will hear me say 1,000 times, if we stay here on Sundays long enough, do as they do, not as they say, because the pattern seems to be they point you in one direction and then they go the other way, and we keep listening to them instead of paying attention to what it is that they do.
That's a good point. It's a great point. It's a phenomenal point. Yeah, and I think when in doubt, zoom out. I've been saying that all week, but that concept of thinking about the long-term concepts and what's going on. If we talk about the Federal Reserve, the issues going on here, we see things going on with the country and sway of things. Just to think about the fact that Elon Musk is doing all this stuff he's doing, and he gets all this attention for what's going on with Doge. Dogecoin is also something here that's is number 6 on this list of major investments. And the concept that this is something that we all, because this is something that's happening now. During the times when the stock market first opened up, everybody wasn't even allowed to be literate, let alone allowed to have get involved with the stock market. We're in a time now where this is still fresh. This is still a new birth. It's a new growth going on right now, and it's everybody has access to it and access to the information and knowledge behind it. So that's one of the best things I think about this, and why I like to have these conversations. And it covers all age fields, all spectrums. Everybody is part of this. Put this down. So I'm gonna read one more. I want to go to Ethereum. You meant that was a second. That's always been one of the top dogs as well. All right. So Ethereum. After Bitcoin, Ethereum has established itself as one of the most dominant forces in the crypto market. It was the first to introduce smart contract functionality, which enables developers to create and automate several key features we take for granted today. Ethereum is also built to provide a platform for decentralized applications and finance, becoming the leading blockchain to service this need. So, when we talk about the decentralization concept, on not necessarily opposite, but giving it more freedom for everybody else without to have to go through the proof of work concept that Bitcoin has to go through. That's like one of the main things to focus on here. Yeah, let me keep going because it is something to discuss there in conjunction with like the black market, but that's not what this is. So that's why I'm not going to go there right now. The pros of Ethereum, though, the largest player in the DeFi and DApp space, this gives it market dominance and requires that competitors offer much greater incentives to switch. All right. Ethereum's proof of stake consensus mechanism has made the blockchain highly efficient. Aha. The future upgrades are focusing on increasing TPS and improving the already robust security protocols. Excellent. So, as far as the cons of Ethereum, Ethereum sometimes has high network traffic that can slow transactions down to a crawl. It must rely on scaling solutions to address the traffic on its network. Ethereum's transaction costs can also skyrocket. In some cases, the fees can be higher than the value of the transaction. That is definitely a con that can be a big issue. Shout outs to the Common Sense channel. Hi guys, we had heavy snow over here. I had shoveled a lot. Oh, hope all is well. And I hope you stretch. And if you didn't stretch, Common Sense channel, make sure you get some stretching on. That's definitely some heavy work right there. But blessings to you. Hope all is well with you and your loved ones.
Glad to see
All right.
you.
Yeah, always. All right, let me put this down.
What did I want to say about that? So can you pull it up again real quick? I want to see what they have to say about XRP as well.
All
If
right,
you don't
so
mind.
I'll pull up that. Wait, to pull up this list, or you
But
pull up XRP specific?
the last slide you had up, I want to talk about just a few
All right.
things that I do kind of understand. So the first one I want to clarify is TPS, is transactions per second. So a lot of this is about how slowly money moves and how expensive it is to move fiat currency, especially for large transactions. So that TPS, the future upgrades are focused on increasing TPS, is transactions per second.
Mm,
And then DeFi is in the top bullet point under the pros of Ethereum is decentralized finance. And so that concept, and we just had in my network every Tuesday, we have a kind of a crypto class. So I'm learning more and more every week. But
nice.
decentralized finance is so fiat is centralized finance, it's
All
under
right.
the control of the government, the Federal Reserves, whereas DeFi allows you to, they say, be your own bank. You can create loans. And so last Tuesday, we learned something that I'm really interested in, but I have to learn more about, which is I can, and I've done this before, but I can stake my crypto or some of my crypto.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll use $1,000. I like to use round numbers. I can
Okay.
stake $1,000 worth of crypto and then borrow 700 of it back and buy more crypto. And
Mm.
I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And so there's the part that I don't really understand, because I understand that's just building your assets.
Right.
Um, is that somehow this process that this guy, our crypto coach, his name is Walter Scales, is doing allows that balance to grow when crypto is appreciating or when prices are depreciating. So your balance,
Mm.
your the amount of crypto that you own is growing whether the price is going up or down.
Oh, that's
So
powerful.
hopefully by this Tuesday, I will have that figured out. But if you want to start to attend our Tuesday classes, the link is up there in the chat. It is community.gettheqc.com.
Got it.
And just go to the event section and start RSVPing to stuff, because we have classes frequently. We have a credit class tomorrow. Tuesday is crypto class. I teach my classes on stock options trading on Wednesdays. And there's always something going on back there.
That
So
sounds good. Yes, definitely. All right, and I want to pull up XRP too. That's been a hot topic. still is a hot topic. Here it is in the news, all over the different algorithms. Definitely, you've been bringing it up a lot. So I think let's break this down too. So, Ripple, XRP. Unlike other general purpose tokens, XRP is focused on creating payment solutions for banks and financial institutions. It solves several problems with competing systems like SWIFT for international settlements. Instead of requiring several hours or days for transfer to be finalized, XRP allows such settlements to be completed in a matter of seconds. Just speaking about that type of stuff. Powerful. Read more. What is Ripple XRP? Ripple has made traditional finance much more accessible for users through the efficient application of blockchain technology. That sounds extremely powerful, especially with that we just brought that up. That's TPS.
Yep.
Exactly. Pros of
And
Ripple. Huh?
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's right. No, thank you. Make sure you gave me that confirmation. Appreciate it. Pros of Ripple. Much faster than its competitors like Swift. That's phenomenal. Speaking about these things, expand access to banking and international settlement by lowering barriers to use. That is definitely going to be when I was talking about that black market stuff. Not saying that disconnected. I'm just saying how that stuff works when you hide in money. This is definitely the type of stuff that we use. Of course, like I said, I'm not saying that, but that's normally a sign that this is going to be a go. Just to thinking about that concept. Cons of Ripple. The network is highly centralized as all transactions are confirmed by a federated group of financial institutions. Ah, okay. There goes some centralization, and that's gonna, although that clearly is a con, but that does some added security might be needed. Ripple, the other con is Ripple Labs is engaged in a legal battle with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commissions. Okay, definitely a con right there. But the fact that that's being overlooked, I think that's a good sign. Whatever this comes out, what comes out of this. All right, so that's Ripple XRP. Any thoughts, question, comments, concerns? Let me see. Common
So,
sense channel. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
so about Ripple, I guess it depends on how you look at it, because there are different perspectives in the community where some people see it as a great thing that they're partnered with all of these banks and that they're more centralized, like, and one of the reasons is what you said, there are more protections there. um so the way I look at it is, because number one, I'm not going to invest more than I can stand to lose, is when you think about, and I think it's like 273 banks last I heard. When you think about anything, a company, a currency, or whatever that is partnered with 273 of the world's largest banks, I mean, how could you go wrong? And I think
Exactly.
what people want is they want to get completely away from the system. I want something that's completely decentralized, that is not tied to any of those systems that have done us wrong over centuries. But my opinion is that you're not going to get away from that system. And so I've always said, if you can't beat them, join them. And that's why I like Ripple.
Right. Likewise. And Common Sense Channel with another great question. Would any of the changes happening in government have any effect on current and future investment? A little worried. Don't be worried. Be happy. Hakuna Matata, Jambo Rafiki. But
So let's go deeper into that question.
right.
I believe that, and people say believing is not knowing, essentially, but we can't know. I can't know what Donald Trump is going to do. But I believe that his focus on bringing jobs, bringing manufacturing back to the U.S. and kind of evening the playing field in all of these export relationships and just relationships in general can only be good for U.S. companies and their stocks. I believe that it can only be good for our citizens, and for our economy.
I would to add on to that, I would say most beneficial, definitely, but I think it still has chance for everybody to actually benefit from a lot of the stuff that's happening. But to add on to the stuff you're saying with Trump, I think it's a good sign to remind everybody, for those who remember, the rise and the biggest time we've seen people celebrating Bitcoin. People talked about how somebody told them to put a couple $1,000s in, and they came back a few months later and they're millionaires now. That time happened during Trump's presidency. A lot of people remember that. With quantum capitalists, just bringing up with the whole, we discussed the stuff with Detroit, and the car manufacturing's back up, still being a big thing. Discussions of oil, a lot of these different jobs coming here. Now with people remembering, that was a legacy kind of thing. A lot of people spoke about this rise during that era. Um, this could be one of those times where everything comes together because the government is finally working for the people and rather against the people. And just to finalize that question, the changes that are happening in the government, for what I'm seeing, it looks like the changes are literally for the people. So, and the long term, if this is going to be something that's beneficial, it's best for us to think about this might be the best time to start investing into things that we see as going to be beneficial in the future, moving forward in the long term. But great question, of course.
People say so. I am pro Leslie and her children, and so I think it's funny when people say, "Oh, you're pro Trump." I'm pro Leslie and her children, but I believe that Trump is pro America, pro US. And people say Trump is pro himself. I don't blame him because I'm pro Leslie and her children. But I'm also pro the country that I have to live in. And I do believe that. I do believe that he is sincere in his effort to improve things for Americans. Isn't that the president's job? It has not seemed like it for many, many decades. But I think that is what he's trying to do. And a part of that is going to really uh, grow the stock market. Also, very pro crypto. He wants us to be first and best at everything, which
Exactly.
is something that I don't think I've seen in my lifetime. A focus on that.
Yeah, and this is a time where it seems like we need that the most, especially when we talk about how now there's more with all this technology that we have. We talk about how back in the days things were better because of A, B, and C. We're having a time to kind of get back to an era like that where we can start to be honorable and have pride in what's going on over here instead of just kind of everything just being this same cycle of nastiness that has been a dark cloud over everything. But for comments and channel, the best thing, I think we're speaking about a lot of different things. So if you're talking about it specifically, if you're talking about this list, you can just get, like, literally just search in any type of search the latest crypto or news. But the specific list that this is, you can write up the top 10 cryptocurrencies for 2025. That's the literal list. Was it Bloomberg? I can't remember the specific magazine this came from, the journalistic foundation this came from, but type that up, you'll find it out. It's not just on one platform.
Oh, so another one I put in there is cryptomarketcap.com. It's a
Oh yeah,
good
we have
place
that. Right.
to research crypto.
Oh, there you go.
So the question is, too much government monetary affairs a good or a bad thing? And so my question, I'm interested to hear your response to that,
Right.
MME.
That's
But
a good question.
my thought on that is is it isn't I could be mistaken because I'm not uh but isn't that what they're supposed to do? To some
Well,
extent, they are to govern, and that would be a part of it.
that's what I was mentioning, that stuff about the black market. It's no way to hide that. Like, that's been a problem for a lot of everything, centralized or decentralized. Anywhere where money can be transferred, there's people trying to do things, and it's nothing. We're just talking about the history of how things have been. But when it comes down to regulation, you're right. The government already has some type of monetization that's going on. But because of corruption, it literally made pathways for more corruption to happen in situations where at least a light amount of restriction was supposed to be placed there to not make people feel like they're being as not an excessive abuse of power. But this is what happened with regulation going bad with corruption. But if I will say right now, I think that's why anybody who's celebrating what's going on with Doge, they're saying that we need some type of regulation to be going on by good people in government. That's what I think the key is in all of this with the regulation. But yeah, if anything is, if it's negative, any type of regulation or anything going on for somebody who has power, that's going to lead to coercive power, where I can do something to you if you don't follow my orders. Anytime we have that, that's a problem.
So I want to say this, right? Because I think that it is impossible. So say if I just believe and take at face value that when the members of the House of Representatives and senators became public servants, they actually had good intentions and they wanted to actually serve the public. I think that it is impossible to have power with the absence of some level of
When I'm like, oh, I think I know where you're about to go. My fault. I didn't mean to laugh up before.
well, yeah, that's probably where I'm about to go. But I think that it's impossible to have power with the absence of self-interest. And so, do I think that Trump has him and his children's best interest in mind when he's making these moves? Absolutely. Do I think that even if Elon has the best intentions right now, that to some degree he will be corrupted and he's going to somehow benefit from the situation that's going on? Absolutely. Do I think that if I were in either of their positions, that I would not take advantage of being in the position to some degree? So I say this. People were talking about, oh, that's nepotism. Oh, that's nepotism. So you telling me if your frat brother or your church brother or somebody hooks you up with a job and gives you a contract, you going to say, oh, that's nepotism. Or you going to say, oh, that's my ninja. Like,
Right.
come on. It's like we have jumped out of reality. And unless we're in the situation, if we're in the situation and everything is okay and it's on the up and up and that's just how things go, that's what we're supposed to do. We need to look out for one another, but we have these high moral expectations of these people in power that don't make sense. What we should be doing is what they're doing, instead of sitting going, look at what they're doing, because when we're given the same opportunities, we love it. But when we see somebody else do it on a higher scale, all of a sudden we are these great moral beings. I'm a capitalist before any of that. And I understand that if I'm going to have a network of friends and associates, I want them to look out for me.
I think now what else that I agree with you. With the cloud of corruption is the issue here. And yes, if we see them doing something, the point is not people. The free thinkers, we already on that wavelength for the most part. The masses overall, if they see that Nancy Pelosi or Kamala or anybody else is pushing a message of we need to focus our time and energy on women's rights and abortion and this and that and all these different things that they got a list of, but never talk about the investing side of things. When that's known to be one of the biggest things that they're doing, it just makes it look, it's long story short, they're not talking about that. And that's what kind of makes it look like something funny going on. And of course, we know about behind the scene things that's happening. That, like, for now, that people who know about it, I think you're 100% right. But I don't think that the average person really knows that that's what's going on, and there's no discussions about being investors, because these people who are into corruption, they know that investing is good, but they really can't necessarily speak about something if it's going to make them look bad. But yes, let me keep reading. Oh yeah, now your quantum reality. I must admit, fear has been keeping me out of the market for a while. I see now it was a mistake. Or your quantum reality, it could have been perfect because timing is everything as well. And the where you are right now might be the best time to do it in comparison to where you was when you was thinking about it before. But yeah, it's a mistake if you perceive it that way. But if it is, even if you do perceive it really as a mistake, then let that be the last mistake you make that way, and start getting into the knowledge now. Do what you have to do and figure out the best route that is. Remember, there's multiple routes you can take and create your own path as a route as well. Just getting into the concept of investing. That's what this is more about. Is too much government monetary affairs a good or bad thing? Oh yeah, that's what quantum capitalist just brought up. This is actually a good time for TQR. Sorry, Dr. Lucky in the house. Shout to PLB Public. Dr. Lucky, shout to you. That guy got some class. Sorry. All right, hold on. Here goes Quantum Capitalist. Sorry, I'm in service right now, but I'll watch later. Just blessings to you, Dr. Lucky. Praise. Blessings to you and your family. That's phenomenal. You're the truth. You're the truth. Enjoy that. That's blessings right there. We feel the vibes for that. Shout out to you. Spiritual love always. Salute family. Antoine in the house. Shout out to Antoine. Always. Hope all is well with you and your loved ones. If I'm in that situation, I'm going to benefit as well. I have to be honest. Yes, and Antoine, absolutely. I'll add on. I wanted to I'm glad Quantum Capitalist got back. I'll say a little deeper that in specific situations like Elon Musk first, before we get into Trump. Elon Musk, we know he's not getting paid for what's going on with Doge. This is all free of him, free of charge. But he's clearly going to be benefiting from the outcome of a lot of these things and the vessels that is going to be made and created from what he's doing. Now, on the flip side with Trump, I'll say we can go a little further and say that a lot of these things, knowing that what he had planned already, even if he had to make new foundations to set up, these things were already set up. So the things that are being put into place right now, there directly would be wise. It would just be natural instinct to, if you know you're going to be making some changes, to make sure you and your family are already invested into where those changes are going to go. That would just be it's not the concept of inside trading. It sounds that would be more like the understanding of confidence, because there's no need for any back behind the scene deals. We just know, hey, we about to be building a whole bunch of bridges over here in San Francisco. All right, well, we're gonna need a lot of steel. We're gonna invest in steel over here. It's just kind of one of those things. But comments in the channel, their policies affect the average man one way or another. That's right, comments in the channel. You're right.
I think the manner and the degree to which they affect you depends on you.
Ooh, yes.
Because they're certainly going to affect me, but I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that they affect me the way that I want them to.
Powerful. And in other words, they are going to affect you, but it's on you to determine what is that going to do? Affect you in a beneficial way or in a way that's going to be a detriment to you?
Sometimes I know that I say some things that can be offensive, but you know as well as anybody that I just shoot from the hip, right? And so if the policies, and I know that there are some people that are going to be affected negatively, and the comment was it's going to affect the average man one way or another. My job is to what? Not be average.
Perfect.
I like to take responsibility and accountability for my life. I don't give anybody, not any politician, not any pastor, not any mentor, anybody, control over my destiny. What happens to me is up to me. And one of the things that I realized, because I'm doing a lot of stuff, and I'm like, what are you doing? What are you chasing? What are you after? And I realized I had the revelation this morning that I'm trying to become the best possible version of myself. And I'm not even sure what that is yet. But the more I'm able to learn and achieve and do and accomplish, I'm figuring it out along the way. And so I think that is each one of our duty as, I'll say, God's children, to become the best version of yourself. And I don't think that whoever created us, created any of us to be average and at the mercy of someone in Washington, D.C.
That's a blessing to even. Everything about that was phenomenal. Two things, I guess. First thing in order. I think I don't. As far as like the stuff coming off offensive, I think that even if you're silent, some people can be offended by you being silent. So offense, people who get anyone who gets offended by anything naturally will be whatever how they're perceiving something.
I think
And
that, so my experience has been that there are people even in my family who are like, why is she like this? And I'm sure that a lot of us watchers of this YouTube channel, subscribers to this channel, you yourself personally have, been maybe considered the black sheep, that's what they call it,
right.
or people want you to be like them and just be a victim all the time. And so when you're not, it tends to offend some people, but those are people who are easily offended.
I guess this is perfect because the offended situation can also be motivated. Some people are fearful of motivation. If you see a lioness screaming and you always wanted to be a lioness, or if you see a lioness roaring and you always wanted to be a lioness, you could be scared that the lioness is roaring at you to attack you, or you can view it as a lioness is expressing themselves and is giving me guidance and showing me what I need to do. With you being someone who's a truth teller and a black sheep, this is the age, this is that time for where those who were viewed that way, outsiders, loners, doing things differently, they're on the highest of the pedestals right now. And I would say that anytime someone or you feel like someone's offended by something, it might be more of their they're being pushed or compelled by your energy to match that energy. And it's not always able to do that. Something is they gotta learn it. But to each his own. And I'm just giving some food for thought on that. That's all. But wait, I was gonna say, oh yeah, I guess with the average man thing as well. If we're all average would be like if everybody's at the highest level, average would be the highest it possibly be. Average is just a word that's thrown out there, but I'm going to assume you just mean like as typically as it can be. Their policies affect the average person on in the nation.
I want to
Yes.
clarify
Look.
what I mean is
Oh yeah, go
that,
ahead.
and
Go
it goes to back to what you just said in response, is like this period of time, instead of making us fearful and making us paralyzed and making us angry and making us emotional, should push us and drive us to become a better version to ourselves of ourselves and kind of step up to the plate to meet the challenge, because there's no way around it. You can either be victim to it and succumb to it, or you can take the challenge and say they're not gonna win.
Yeah.
And I've just chosen to say they're not gonna win.
I got you. 100% with you. Don Johnson, shout out to you. The YouTube channel is MME Educating. I just put it down if it hasn't been put up yet. Great point. I appreciate that. Quantum Capitalist put up some stuff over here too. What else we got here? Elon has already created a business out of Doge. Countries around the world are calling him to look into the systems. Yes. This is a very great point right now that you make in Comments channel. Even though this is became the team that has been assembled for Doge is definitely this is the best thing to add to their resume. If you can clean up all of this waste already, it definitely is something that other countries are going to seek out for. So yes, it says a lot about Elon and what's the future to come. Any thoughts on that, Quantum Capitalist?
What that is. So someone said something general about people having created entire businesses around. Oh, I didn't see it. Okay, Elon has already created a business out of Doge. Countries around the world are calling him to look into the systems. I saw a video, and I think I shared it on my Facebook page, but there was this older black gentleman. He probably was 70, 75 years old. And he said he came back from the military and he went for an interview at this chemical company, and they let him in and he started mixing chemicals and, doing his thing. He did his thing. And then the guy said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't hire coloreds for jobs like that. You need to go out and sweep and clean up the front and blah blah blah. So he had been to the military, gotten all this training, was top of the tops at what he did with mixing these chemicals. And he went in there and he showed them and he wowed them. But they told him, I'm sorry, even if we wanted to, we couldn't hire you for that job. And so he said that hurt me. I still remember it. I still feel it like it was yesterday, but it motivated me not only to go out there and start one business, but I started 5.
Exactly.
They would not hire him to do a job that he was qualified to do, and it motivated him to go out there and create 5 of his own jobs and jobs for countless others.
And that's the door that was waiting for him.
And that's our spirit. That is not just, that's the human spirit.
Exactly.
Necessity is the mother of all invention, they say.
100%. That's historical, and that's just something, another notch to add on to the point that anytime something happens and you feel the friction throughout your forward motion, it's just natural, and it's something else waiting for you to overcome and uplift yourself from. It's literally just waiting for you. I love that story just there. Anton, that was well said, sis. Yeah, that was beautiful. I appreciate the honesty. See, this one, I love it. I love that. Best respect to you guys. We have an entire industries of people whose business is to make and feel like victim mentality, mentally, physically, morally, and spiritually. Oh, yes. A whole industry of people whose business is to do that. Yes. Average workers or employees. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. The average. Okay. Yes. I got what you're saying now. Yeah. That word was so basic for me. I started to catch. A-Fan in the house. Hope you're having a shout out to you. Much respect to you too, A-Fan. Much respect. Always. You and your loved ones. Appreciate you. Yes. I got what you're saying though, Common Sense Channel. I'm with you. I agree wholeheartedly, Common Sense Channel, but we are more powerful than that. Internally, intrinsically, I am more powerful than that, and so are you. Ooh, drop the mic for that. Well said. Well said. All right, let me read this that's up here real quick too, since we're here. From Bitcoin and Ethereum to an ever-growing list of altcoins, cryptocurrencies have taken a new generation of investors around the world by storm. Fast moving and volatile, this industry keeps participants, observers, and regulators on their toes as mainstream companies explore cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies for new markets, or even to build them within virtual worlds. The crypto space is in a rapid state of evolution. Get the latest crypto news, updates on daily trading, and insights into digital currencies such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP, along with high-profile interviews, explainers, and unique stories that only the dynamic crypto industry can offer with CNBC Crypto World. There we go, right there. That was a specific part. For anyone, we in here, love you too. Shout out to you, Dexter. Shout out to all you guys. All love, all praises to you guys. Unfortunately, capitalism is a problem with everything. Ooh. Its only goal is to keep increasing the inequality of wealth between those who have far too much already and those trying to survive. Based on perspective, I would say methane. But before quantum capitalist, would you like to respond to this? Give some wisdom or some any analysis of what methane said? Oh, quantum capitalist, you with us? I think we have. It's all right. I'll respond to it. Let me hold on. Let me show you good. Unfortunately, capitalism is a problem with everything. Its only problem is to keep increasing the inequality of wealth between those who have far too much already and those trying to survive. So, Methane, I think that's a phenomenal point. First off, I absolutely see the whole holistic point of that. The first thought that I honestly have is, if your perspective is this way, that's maybe what you're tailoring yourself to see. But if we change the perspective and we say that, well, is it available to everybody to have growth? If we can view the pillar of income in this wealth in this country, and when you're just thinking about the economy in general, employees, independent contractors, or those that are self-employed, business owners, and investors, we all have the access in any type of way, no matter what level you want to say, but we have access to get into investing. So when we talk about capitalism and gaining the most capital, investment will be top of the food chain. If we all are available to do that, of course, I understand it's not something that, unlike other areas and other private schools or other different households and upbringings, people who are being homeschooled are being taught some of these things from the beginning. These are concepts that are not just learned throughout grade school, they're mastered in grade school. They're people who are playing games and learning, reading different lectures and different books about these things from young. So yes, that might be something that I think we can sometimes easily, not saying that we are doing that, especially not you, my thing, but I think as a whole, sometimes we can use the lack of money or the lack of knowledge in investing as a crutch to not invest, as if that's hurting anybody but anybody who could potentially want to gain from investing. Remember, you don't hear us, me or Quantum Capitalist or Sigma, saying you need to do this, you need to do that, you have to do this, you have to do that. It's just advice with us understanding that this has always been the main bridge that has been separating those who are called the haves and those who are called the have-nots holistically. Of course, there's other ways you can get up into being such called a have or a have-not. You can be investing your whole life and end up being a have-not. You could have never invested at all and become a have. Overall, we're discussing. So shout out to you. Welcome back, Quantum Capitalist. Hope all is well.
Thank you. I apologize for my trashy internet, but I have a question in response to that comment. Unfortunately, capitalism is the problem with everything. Its only goal is to keep increasing the inequality of wealth between those who have far too much already and those who are trying to survive. Okay, so what is the solution? That's my question. What is, like a personal solution, not the solution for everybody, obviously, but like or another way to put it would be, okay, what are you going to do about it? And that would not just to methane, that's to everybody. That's to me.
Right.
Because what I know that I'm not going to do is change this system. I'm not going to eradicate capitalism.
Right.
And so what is the potential solution? What can we do other than just roll over and be victims?
Well, and I'll say, like everything else is, if the perception is that you're being victimized or you're a victim, that's what there's nothing else that you're going to be able to see. But we control that. So if we control this and say that, well, right now with all these changes that are being made right now, I can somehow see somewhere where something that I can invest in is going to go skyrocket, or something that even if it's just your timing, you can be someone who wants to right now say, let's say that you want to get into, you want to be part of that manufacturing production of what's going to happen in Detroit. You want to start getting into being a manager. You want to say, I want to get into management of building cars, manufacturing cars, and you're going to school for that specific purpose. You want to invest your time right now into that. It's all different type of concepts. It's not just necessarily always about income. We've been doing this already. That's why the little transition going into from whatever the timing you've been putting yourself in and investing in to now considering investing some type of income. That, like I said, is not to benefit anybody. Nobody's asking. We're not calling and checking up. Hey, have you invested yet? Have you did this? That's not what this is about at all. But for those who have these same discussions and fears, this is the same thing we discuss when people say that the money is the root of all evil. But then you want to say, I don't understand why I'm not rich, or why I can't get rich, or why I can't ever think about something. If you're thinking and you're viewing yourself as living righteous and you're against evil, but you keep saying money is the root of all evil, you're kind of like putting yourself in this like whirlwind right now of thoughts. But let me just keep going.
You know how I always say, a friend of mine on Facebook said that investing in ETFs is like having the smartest people in the world pick your investments for you. That's Don Johnson.
Oh, shout out to Don Johnson. Oh yeah, I love that. That's a great concept. Yeah, right up the back. Shout out to you, Don Johnson. Salutes. Hope all's well with you and your loved ones. Solutions to become an investor. Yes, I agree with that 100%. Shout out to you. I wish I could say Gibson here. If the solution is simply more exploitation, consumerism, and division, I'm not very interested. That's all I have to say. shout out to you, Methane. I feel where you're coming from too. The spirit of where you're coming from is really it makes sense from how governmental regulations and how things have been with the sway of the economy due to things happening and behind the scenes. I think that's probably made it from what I'm seeing. That's what I perceive is probably the root of where you're coming from. And
So
yes, there's a way to just swim through all these things, is what I would say. Sorry, quantum capitalist.
no, I'm sorry. So I'm a therapist, and so a part of my being is just trying to understand things. And so now I want to understand that a little bit more. If the solution is simply more exploitation, consumerism, and division, and so my question then is, if I recognize that people need eggs and I go out and I buy and breed chickens and then I start to sell eggs, am
Right.
I exploiting anyone, or is or are the people who are buying my eggs victim of consumerism? um I'm not quite sure I understand the division. The division, if you're talking about the
Exactly.
wealth gap,
Yes.
um like if if this, so like that, to me, that is like saying, if it's oxygen is going to be involved in it, then I'm not interested. Like,
Something that comes naturally.
right, we can't, there's nothing that we will be able to do in this lifetime about the wealth gap. The only thing that you can do is try to close it incrementally,
That's it.
in some way. And it may be investing in chickens and
That's it.
selling eggs. It may be learning how to fix cars so that you can barter with your neighbors for some service that they provide that we will all need. It may be growing your own food, but whatever it is, I'm not going to be able to escape elitists and the fact that they exist.
Yes. And shout out to Henry Cedillo, piece of the chat, West Coast Killer Bees in the house, LBC. Shout out to you in the panel. But I'll say this to add on that was profoundly said. And like this, Andrew Carnegie, Cornelius Vanderbilt, John Davison Rockefeller, they were all not viewed the way that they're viewed now as these mega nasty, powerful, corrupted people because of the production of the steel or the production of the railroad or the production of the oil. That literally what is helped pave the way of what America is right now. What happened with the corruption and the things that would be happening behind scenes and not paying people and bad working conditions and things of that nature, that's a separate discussion. I mean, you can put it all together. But the concept of this, somebody is, if there's a need that's happening and there's a way that you can give that need and benefit from it at the same time, that's just economics. That's something that is all you need to think about doing. Probably is what is the next thing that you can invest in so you can be able to benefit from this. They're building railroads. You should start thinking about maybe investing to start building hotels instead of complaining that they all have all the money to build the railroads. So shout out to you, though, Henry. Could you guys please speak on universal income and its application? Thanks. Universal income. So are you talking about like on a socialism type
Universal
of way?
UBI. Andrew Chang, some politician in California started talking about the concept of UBI. At least this is my recollection. Probably during the first Trump presidency, universal basic income. And that was one of the platforms that he ran on. And so now, since then, I think, if I remember correctly, we have experienced COVID. We have experienced a lot of people being put out of work. We have experienced robotics and AI and tons of layoffs. This is all stuff that I post about on my social media. And so I'm always talking about now to my friends this concept of UBI. If Amazon has employed 500,000 robots, and let me see, what's old boy's name? Mark Zuckerberg said that he is doing something so remarkable. Mark Zuckerberg. Oh, it's something about robotics, but he's basically trying to replace human workers.
Right.
and engineers with robots. If
Percent.
all of this is happening and it's going to put so many even skilled workers and educated people out of work, what are they going to do with us? Are they going to let us starve to death, or are they going to use universal basic income, aka universal welfare?
Or we should start thinking about getting into making our own robotics. But
Absolutely.
when it comes down to the universal base income, um, I think whatever happens, that would be the most phenomenal thing for people to not have any type of excuses to not thinking about. For instance, like what Sick Marsh mentioned last week with 10%. Take 10% of whatever you're going to get from that, and you even become an investor with that universal base income, is what I would say. Especially, of course, only if you have it to save, to spend. You don't remember what I say is if you can't buy it 6 times, 5 times really, you can't afford it. So same thing with invested.
I think though that so my theory is that long before COVID hit, they
Mhm.
knew that COVID was going to hit. They knew, like before COVID, I was in a hotel in Dallas and we called down for towels and a robot, Judy Jetson. I think I might have said this last week. Judy Jetson bought the towels up. And that was before COVID. We have been using self checkout for, I don't know, a decade now,
Mhm.
probably, maybe longer. And so I don't think that when he bought up universal basic income, that was something that he plucked from the sky.
Right, right.
I think that it is all a part of a plan because you think that they didn't know that these companies that they have contracts with are developing quantum computers and robotics and AI 10 years ago.
Right.
And so they've been asking themselves the question for 20 years, probably, what are we going to do with all of these people once we put them out of work?
Mhm.
So
And and what I would keep saying is we are at a time where we need to learn from history that that's not the best thing for the people who are being thought of. It's going to be the best thing for you to think of what are you going to do when this happens. Don't wait for anybody to do anything for you. And just like if that thing, when I mentioned that with Mark Zuckerberg getting into robotics, if that's something that is viewed as a concern, immediately think about and just you can just do a quick search on the beginning levels. There's building robotics and getting into that engineering for beginners. There's things that people can learn. It's not that far fetched as it might sound. Are we ever moving towards these forms of income in the near future? Must be something we probably covered already. Oh, you mean oh yeah, that's what we just spoke about. Being against the system only hurts yourself and not really against the system because you use all the products the system creates. Bang. Exactly, Don. Shout out to you. A very good point. Being
to
against
be
the system. Yeah, go ahead.
anti-consumerism is like saying I'm not going to go to the grocery store because me buying my groceries is consumerism.
Exactly. That's what at the end of the day, that's literally what that is. And that's why I said you got to kind of be a little bit on the extreme side of thought process and feel real hurt by government in some type of way to get to that point because that means you basically saying them blacked out and everything. Like you might be having like somewhere on top of some, and this is no shot at you, but like might be this like person with a real tinfoil hat on top of the satellite on the tree and not want to have no discussions with anybody and be able to get on Facebook. But shout out to you for being out here in your wilderness like that.
I just want
Um,
to say this too, right? One of the things that I've noticed about people in general is that we tend to redefine words. And when we redefine the words, we conflate them and just pile on emotion, right? But the definition of capitalism is not evil. It is an economic system where private individuals like myself, like Don, like MME, or businesses own property and control production. So it's based on the ideas of competition, private property, and limited government. So to me, that says that capitalism is a system where any one of us can create a business and produce something and sell it to people who want or need it. What is evil about that? Now, the problem is the people who have exploited it um, and just made it for their sole benefit. The other part of the problem is the people who haven't.
good point. And it's I think that sometimes we don't get, because we don't have access to behind the scene discussions, we don't really use our imagination or pay attention to historical times similar things happen. For instance, when it comes down to a lot of these things, as far as this swift and this change in technology, we're at a time right now where we're discussing about investing, and it's we talk about still people having the myths of the fears and that stuff, not realizing that we've been investing in different things our entire lives. And when it comes down to these different tech companies and robotics and things like that, whether they're startups or whether they already got their foot in the sand and everything on the stock market, the point is that there have always been time for people to invest in them. If you seen that this was something that was going to be part of the future and you didn't invest into it, you allowed others to just keep on generating and bigging up that the amount of shares. So by the time this thing did skyrocket, it looks like they just got involved and they have so much money because they put so much millions of dollars in it, but they just been investing into it for a long time because they could see that this was coming. Just like we
And
spoke
we
about.
can see it too if we just open our eyes, if we
Exactly.
stop being so angry and focusing on, because I think a part of it is they focus us on things and they keep us so busy and so under stress that we can't really be creative and we can't pay attention to the things that we should be paying attention to. But there was a time when this flat screen television on my wall, or television in general, was a novel concept, and people invested in it then are millionaires, billionaires now. We are sitting in that time. This is that time for AI and robotics. And instead of saying, oh my God, I have the opportunity to invest in the first television, we are saying, Orange Man bad. And it just doesn't make sense. This is probably the best time out of all of the years that we've been alive to be alive. And we all mad. And I just don't understand it. Just go research what are going to be there. They have 700,000 robots at Google. Find out how to invest in robots.
And seriously, I don't joke around when I keep talking about making robots and getting into that technology and things of that nature. Right now, there are schools that are offering that, especially with this Trump change with teachers' choice and parents' choice. That's something that teachers have been wanting to add into the system a long time ago. And with the numbers being so low, it doesn't say that all schools don't have access to at least a class of students that are able to have this. My point is, if we're seeing that that's a future, that's also something when we talk about jobs. Well, jobs are going to be taken away. The jobs are being lost. Jobs where we're dealing with creating and being behind robotics. This is something that the youth can be looking into right now. And this is something to start introducing as a concept. So just some things about investing your time as well and your education and your knowledge into certain things. If you're young right now and you're thinking about starting off a new path, think about that. Sorry, Connor Capitalist.
No, you're fine. I'm sorry.
And I was going to just say this about this, what Don Johnson said. We already discussing the concept of controlling the amount of AI workforce. That would make a lot of sense that they're going to have to the regulations there. But think about how far already people are thinking about and the investment of a workforce for the AI and controlling it. And we're still thinking about if we should even start investing. There's just thinking about the gap that we need to start closing if we're serious about closing the informational gap and investing gap. But sorry, go ahead, Connor.
You know what I think might be beneficial? Because it's one thing for me, I stay on a soapbox. And so it's one thing for me to be up here every week with you talking. But I think what might be equally beneficial, if not more beneficial, is if we start to slowly invite people like Don up. Because Don's just said something that lets me know something that I probably already knew, that he's had the same experience that I had. And so it'll let people see I'm not an anomaly. Don said not investing is a bigger fear. I have seen the lives of non-investors and I can't live that life. I survived poverty and will never go back. And so what that says to me is Don had the experience of, like all of us, having a job and just poverty, everything. I grew up in the projects. And as a result of his investing, learning, and investing, he has a different lifestyle. And so I think that it would be beneficial to have person after person after person after person come up here and share that same experience, because it will repetition will convince people that, okay, it's safe. If it didn't kill Don and Leslie and Sally and Joe, then maybe I should try it.
Right, of course. Exactly. Completely agree. Great point. Let me go back up here. So, Henry, I definitely want to invest. I invested in myself in the past. I invested into used cars, and I was able to employ people with work by hiring them for detailing and mechanic work, so I can relate. Understand? Great point, Henry. Hope all is well on that thing went through with that. That's the spirit. Facts. 2 free courses. That's phenomenal right there. I suggest to always have a side legit hustle. I love that. Great thinking. Multiple streams of income is always the way to work to roll. Agreed. Very good. Shout out to you guys. Industrialists always find. Oh, and wait, let me put this up right here, because yeah, we mentioned that last week, but anybody can. I'm gonna drop the link, so before we end out, anybody wants to come up and say something, they can come up. We'll always do that. That's not a problem at all.
Let's do it.
Industrialists find the best way out, my friend. Yes, that is what it is. And absolutely, Cartoon King, that is so important to mention. Shout out to that, Henry. I have nothing against capitalism, just greed that I have issues with. Yes, exactly, Quantum. I'm common sense, 100% with you. Push your children and grandchildren towards STEM. Mhm. Non-investing is a bigger fear. I've seen the lives of non-investors, and I can't live like that's real. Can't live that life. I survived poverty, will never go back. Always love that. That's a great point. Drive that home. Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Definitely, it's there. It's happening right now as we speak. What types of education should we be designing for the future generation? Um, I think that's on the future, but we should if we I think we're having that discussion now. Like, where is it? We have to know if we as the adults are not going to take responsibility and accountability to know what the thing for the future is for the youth. That means that who's going to make that decision? The youth can't make that decision necessarily, depending on what level of use we're talking about. But we know that tech is one of the main things. We know that there's certain industries that are going to be needed no matter what. Um, those type of things, going back into trading and to concepts of um, knowing how to use your hands, developing a green thumb. I think all these things that we know are needed in society, or things that were foundational points, or things that we see that society is going to, those are the things that we should be focusing on. Agreed, Don Johnson. I have been guilty of fear myself. Well, I think, yeah, that's a concept. I'm lovely. The fact y'all are sharing that. But times are changing. Oh yeah, shout out to that. You're quantum capitalist. Facts, quantum reality. I mean, you're quantum reality. Facts, quantum capitalist. All right. So with that being said, I guess yeah. We'll keep it. We'll pick back up on next Sunday. Hope all is well with you guys. I hope you guys learned something from this. I appreciate everybody around, everybody that pull up. All of the quantum capitalists all the time. All of the Sigmaj. We'll see you guys same time. Don't forget, every day, 11 a.m. This is week into Bushwick Aberdeen episode 3, Breakfast and Baths. Check this out. Getting deep into the battle rap, Going to the Garden. Shout out to all the people who helped out with that. Shout out to Pam Jams in the house before we head out. Shout out to that. MME salute. Shout out to you. Thanks. I hope all is well. Much love. Appreciate you. Yes, we had a ball up here, but we about to be out now. But take care. All love. I'll see y'all next time. Yeah, send that. Shout out to all you guys. Shout out to Henry. Shout out to you. Thanks. So yeah, I'll definitely check. I'm about to rest a little bit, but I'm gonna be back up later on. Today's my starting my animation week. I'm about to go real hard into animation. So check that out. Love always, guys. Take care.